I wasn't crying anymore. That part was over. The divorce papers were signed. The house was sold. The pictures were boxed away. But the ring? The ring stayed. And apparently, that made me emotionally unhealthy. That's what my sister said right before asking to buy it at a discount. From me. Because according to her, a failed marriage means the symbol of it becomes community property. She thought I'd cave. She thought guilt would win. She was wrong. When my marriage ended, it wasn't explosive. No screaming matches. No cheating scandals. No dramatic last-night arguments. Just two exhausted people sitting across from each other at a kitchen table that used to mean something. We were young when we got engaged. First real jobs. First real apartment. First real attempt at being grown-ups. And the ring? We split the cost. 50-50. It wasn't some fantasy fairy tale diamond funded by a wealthy fiancé. It was practical. Responsible. Equal. I remember standing in the jewelry store, both of us nervous, both pretending we weren't checking the price tags twice. I paid for half of it because that's what we agreed on. It wasn't charity. It wasn't a gift I passively received. It was mine. So when we divorced, we divided everything fairly. Furniture. Savings. Books. Dishes. And the ring? He didn't ask for it back. Because he knew. I paid for half of it. And emotionally, I paid for the rest. The aftermath. After the divorce, I didn't wear it. But I also didn't sell it. It stayed in a small velvet box in the back of my dresser drawer. Sometimes I'd open it. Not because I missed him. But because it represented a version of me that tried. A hopeful version. A brave version. You don't just throw that away because it didn't work out. Healing isn't a garage sale. Enter my sister. My younger sister got engaged 6 months ago. She's 25. Bright. Confident. A little impulsive. The kind of person who believes everything works out because it always has for her. Her fiancé proposed with a simple ring. Cute. Small. Affordable. She showed it to me, glowing. And I was genuinely happy for her. Until 2 weeks later. She came over for coffee. She was fidgety. Smiling too hard. Then she said it. So. I was thinking. I knew that tone. It's the tone people use when they're about to ask for something unreasonable but want it wrapped in politeness. You still have your engagement ring, right? My stomach tightened slightly. Yeah. You don't wear it though. No. She stirred her coffee slowly. Well, since you're not using it. I was wondering if maybe I could buy it from you. For like, less than it's worth? I blinked. She kept going. It would save us money, and then later we could upgrade to something even nicer. It's just sitting there anyway. Just sitting there. Like it was an unused appliance. Like it wasn't a chapter of my life. I took a breath. I'm not selling it. She laughed. I didn't. The guilt begins. At first she thought I was joking. Then her smile faded. Wait, seriously? Yeah. I don't want to sell it. Her face changed. And that's when I felt it, the shift. You don't even use it. I know. So what's the point of keeping it? I didn't owe her an explanation. But I tried anyway. It means something to me. And that's when she said it. That's kind of emotionally unhealthy, don't you think? It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. But it landed. Emotionally unhealthy. As if I was clinging to a ghost. As if keeping something I partially paid for made me unstable. I felt heat rise in my chest. Not explosive anger. But that slow, creeping feeling of being invalidated. The parents join in. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 2 days later, my mom called. Casual tone. Too casual. So, your sister mentioned the ring. Of course she did. She and her fiancé are trying to save money. It would be such a nice gesture. Nice gesture. That phrase. As if I was withholding charity. As if I was hoarding something meant for redistribution. I said no. Well, it is just sitting in a drawer. There it was again. Sitting. In. A. Drawer. My dad chimed in later that night in a family group chat. Would be better used than hidden away. Hidden away. Like I was ashamed. Like I was stuck. Like my boundaries were selfishness disguised as sentimentality. What it really was. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about jewelry. It was about this quiet assumption. If your marriage failed, the symbol of it loses value. If you're divorced, you should be detached. If you're healing in your own way, it must be wrong. My sister wasn't asking. She was evaluating. And finding me defective. Escalation. She came over again a week later. More direct this time. You're being stubborn. My jaw tightened. I said no. You're not even moving on if you're keeping it. That one stung. I had moved on. Therapy sessions. Gym mornings. Solo vacations. Rebuilding friendships. But because I didn't liquidate a ring, I hadn't healed correctly? I felt my pulse in my ears. You don't get to decide how I process my life. She rolled her eyes. It's just a ring. And there it was. If it's just a ring, why do you want it so badly? The breaking point. The final straw wasn't loud. It was a family dinner. My aunt casually joked, maybe we'll see that ring on someone who's actually staying married this time. Everyone laughed. I didn't. I felt something settle inside me. Not rage. Clarity. They weren't respecting me. They were minimizing me. And the more I stayed quiet, the more acceptable it became. That night, I went home. I opened the drawer. I took the ring out. It glittered under the soft light of my bedroom lamp. It didn't look tragic. It didn't look cursed. It looked strong. Like a reminder. Not of failure. But of survival. And that's when I made my decision. If they wanted the ring to mean something, I would decide what it meant. I booked an appointment with a jeweler. Not to sell it. Not to appraise it. To redesign it. If it was just sitting there, I would transform it. The jeweler showed me sketches. We could reset the diamond. Change the band. Modernize it. Make it completely different. And as he described the process, something inside me shifted. This wasn't about my ex. This wasn't about my sister. This was about me reclaiming something. I approved the redesign. It wasn't cheap. But I paid for it. My money. My choice. 2 weeks later, I picked it up. It was stunning. Recognizable, but entirely reborn. The next family gathering was my sister's engagement dinner. She was glowing. Everyone fussing over her ring. Then my mom noticed mine. Wait, what's that? I held up my hand calmly. Oh. I redesigned my old engagement ring. My sister froze. You what? I figured if it was just sitting in a drawer, it deserved better. Silence. She stared at it. It was bigger now. Bolder. Beautiful. You said you didn't want it. I didn't want to sell it. I kept my voice steady. It wasn't unhealthy. It just wasn't yours. Her face flushed. But we could have used. I know. That's when I said it. Short. Clean. Final. If it's just a ring, you'll be fine. The table went quiet. No one laughed this time. My aunt avoided eye contact. My mom sipped her wine. And for the first time since the divorce, I didn't feel judged. I felt grounded. They finally understood. It was never about the diamond. It was about my right to keep something that belonged to me, without being shamed for it. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's ownership. Of your choices. Of your healing. Of your boundaries. You don't owe anyone your closure just because it makes them uncomfortable. If this story made you feel that quiet kind of satisfaction, hit that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you have sold the ring, or kept it? And of course, subscribe to Story X Daily for more stories where boundaries are tested, and justice is served. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply saying,